industry for the past 30 years, doing product development, purchasing, and quality assurance for many national restaurant chains. In this video, I'm going to show you how to use the Smokin Tex smoker to make a barbecued pulled pork butt. The first thing we're going to do is take some pork butts and prep them for smoking. Okay, I've purchased two boneless pork butts, which is part of the shoulder from the pork. They've already had the shoulder blade taken out of it. I've got two of them. They weigh about 6 pounds each. I have them in these metal pans in order to prepare the product and put them in the refrigerator. So the first thing we're going to do is make us an injectable marinade. And I've got a barbecue sauce, I've got a injectable Creole butter marinade, I've got a little bit of liquid smoke, and then I've got my injector. Alright, so the first thing you do is you want to make sure your barbecue sauce is a relatively fluid barbecue sauce. If it has any particulates in it, you want to strain it through a strainer. So we're going to, for these two pork butts, we're going to use 3 cups of barbecue sauce. So I'm pouring my 3 cups of barbecue sauce. Alright, from there, we're going to shake up our Creole butter, and we're going to add a cup of Creole butter. And then I'm going to take some liquid smoke. And the reason we're adding liquid smoke is to make sure that we get a smoky flavor throughout the whole butt. So we're going to take 2 tablespoons of liquid smoke. And remember, we're making 4 cups of marinade, and that's enough to do 2 pork butts. So I've got 2 tablespoons of liquid smoke. And then we're going to stir it up real good to get it distributed. And then we're going to inject it into the pork butts. So we'll pause here for a minute while I get closer to the pork butt so you can see what we're doing with this marinade. Okay, now what we're going to do, David, is we're going to... Okay, in this step we're going to show you how to inject the pork butts with the barbecue marinade that we made. So I'm taking my injector. You can see that there's a hole in the needle on each side. So you put the injector in there and you draw back and get a full syringe. And then what you want to do is you want to stick it down in the butt all the way to the bottom, pull up about 1/4 inch, and inject the barbecue sauce as you're slowly withdrawing the needle. So we're pumping the butt up with barbecue sauce. So we're going to inject this barbecue sauce about every 2 inches throughout the whole butt. That way it'll get it where it's all distributed evenly through the pork and giving us flavor throughout. I can smell the barbecue sauce as I'm doing this. Oh, it's going to be so delicious. We can just see it coming. Okay, more injecting. Got to be careful not wear good clothes because sometimes it squirts out when the needle gets close to the surface. Like that. A little squirter here and there. Okay, I'm not going to take you through while I do the whole one, so we're going to put it on pause while we inject the rest, and then I'll show you the next step. Okay, we've now injected our pork butts with our marinade, and we're going to get ready to refrigerate them for at least 6 to 12 hours before we put them in the Smokin Tex smoker. So we're going to put some saran wrap over the top of them and then put them in the refrigerator. So I've got my saran wrap. Of course, saran wrap never wants to come out of the box when you want it to come out of the box. And it sticks to everything that you don't want it to stick to. But taking the saran wrap, we stretch it over the pan, pull it tight, and then we cut it off. Alright, so I've got the butt covered in saran wrap. The next one, same thing. And once you cover them, like I said, you want to put them in the refrigerator for 6 to 12 hours and let that barbecue sauce marinate in real well. So they're ready, and it's to the refrigerator. We'll see you in about 6 to 12 hours. Good morning. It's 5 o'clock in the morning on smoking day, And you have to get up at 5 o'clock because the pork butts need to smoke 10 to 12 hours, and if you want to have them for supper, you got to plan ahead and make sure you're there correctly with plenty of time to go. Alright, let's look at what's happened here. Is our pork butts have been in the refrigerator for 6 to 12 hours after they've been pumped. So they're here in my pans, ready to be put in the smoker. What we're going to do is we're going to take a sheet pan, a half-size sheet pan like this. We're going to take one of the racks that goes inside the smoker. Put the rack on the sheet pan, put on a pair of gloves so that we don't contaminate the food with our hands even though we washed them. Then we're going to take the pork butt out of the pan, set it on the rack, take some French's yellow mustard and take this mustard and just coat the outside top of the pork butt. We're going to rub it in pretty good, make sure it's all over the pork butt. This helps the spices to stick to the outside, and it also gives it some of that North Carolina mustard type flavoring. Okay, then I've got a rib type rub, or any kind of pork rub that you want to put on the outside spices, and you take it and you shake it on the pork butt until it covers in a very thick coat and very evenly across the top. You can see I'm liberally shaking this on here to get it covered. Okay, so that's the pork butt that's going to be ready to go in the smoker. This is our second pork butt. I'll show you once again that we take it out of the pan, kind of form it a little bit on the rack so that we've got it all close together for smoking. Then we put our yellow mustard on the outside. Rub it in. Get a good coating of yellow mustard on the outside of it. Use our spices again. And just liberally cover the pork butt with our spices. Okay, now the second one's finished and ready for going in the smoker. While we want to let this sit just a little bit and warm up some before we put it in the smoker. So while we're doing that, I'll show you how to prep the products that are in the smoker. So we'll set this aside for a minute. This is our smoke box, or the wood chip box that you put inside the smoker. I've covered the top with aluminum foil because meat will drop on here and make it kind of charred a little bit. So this is a smoke box. I've got about 3 or 4 ounces of hickory wood smoking chips, and I just put those randomly spread out in the smoke box so that there's some space between them so they'll burn fairly evenly. So the smoke box is ready to go in the smoker. And one of the things that I do, and it's not mandatory, but I really like to do it, I've done it for over 20 years, is I put some water inside the smoker to help create steam, which helps the meat cook a little faster and also breaks down some of the connective tissue. So I have a pan that's half full of water. I put in about a cup of distilled white vinegar, and I put in some of my spices that I put on the outside, and then I also take the pans that the pork butt's refrigerated in, and I just pour the marinade that had been left in the pans after the pork butts came out of there. So now I've got a water pan that's going to go in the smoker. I'm going to take you outside. It's about 30 degrees out there this morning, show you how to set up the smoker, and we'll get smoking. Okay, here we are outside. We're ready to load the smoker to start smoking our pork butts. This is the smallest model that Smokin Tex makes. It's on a cart. I really like this cart because it has a shelf here where I can put the things while I'm getting ready to put them in the smoker. So we're going to open up the smoker. You can see that the inside is well seasoned. I don't ever clean out the inside because it helps with the seasoning of the meat. Alright, so I've got my smoke box with the wood chips in it, a wood box with the wood chips in it. They go in here in the smoker. You just slide it right on the bracket. And there's that. Then I take a wire rack that comes with the smoker and I put it on the lowest setting right above the wood box. So I've got that rack there on the lowest setting. Then I pick up my pan with my liquids in it and I put that pan right here on the bottom shelf of the smoker. And the next thing that comes out is the pork butts. I have the smoker set up with the wood box, the water. I've got my seasoned pork butt on a rack. So I'm going to put this first rack here right above the smoke box. That's to make sure I have enough space for the top rack to go in there too. I'm going to pick up my second pork butt and put it in a rack that's as high up as I can get it, but not touching the bottom one. I'm going to leave some space here because later in the smoking process I'm going to smoke some peppers to go with the pork butt. So anyways, we're set up. You close the door, turn the smoker on to 225, and that's as simple as it gets. It smokes for 10 to 12 hours. We're going to put some peppers in at about hour 8, so we'll also check our temperature and our progress then. But you don't open the doors while the product's smoking, because then you lose your temperatures and you're starting over again. So here we are with Smokin Tex, 5 o'clock in the morning here in Southlake, Texas. I'm sure my neighbors love me being out here with the lights on a Sunday morning, but we're going to have smoked pork butts for dinner tonight, all pulled and shredded on some barbecue, on some rolls with some barbecue sauce. See you in a couple hours. Well, here we are. It's in Southlake in the afternoon. We've been smoking for about 10 hours now. I'm going to put some sweet peppers in the smoker on the top shelf and cook 2 or 3 more hours. These are just little sweet peppers that I bought in the grocery store. I washed them and put them on a rack. This is the first time we have opened the smoker since we put the pork butts in here at 5 o'clock this morning. So we're going to just open up the smoker here. Well, there's our pork butts are in there. We're going to slide this rack right on the top shelf. Close the smoker and cook it for about 2 to 3 more hours until the peppers are done. So we'll see you again in 2 or 3 hours when our pork is finished. Okay, we've got our pork butts now out of the oven, out of the smoker, and they're all smoked and pretty in brown color. We also have these beautiful peppers that came out of the smoker, and you just can't help but eat those delicious peppers right out of that smoker. So now we're going to cover the pork butts in aluminum foil and let them rest for 30 minutes. This resting lets them absorb the juices that are loose inside. It makes them ready to pull. So 30 minutes resting under aluminum foil. Then we'll come back and pull them, and we'll be ready to eat them. Pull them and eat them, that's the way I like them. I gotta have one more pepper. Oh, they're so good. You can't believe how good those peppers are. Alright, see you in 30 minutes. Okay, our pork butts have sat for 30 minutes now, covered in foil. So we're here in the home stretch. We're going to take the foil off. Look at that beautiful color. Take 2 forks like this and just start pulling on it. And pull it apart. Look at that pork. It just pulls into and shreds it. I like these pans because I can pull and shred right in the pan and then serve it right out of the pan. So I take 2 different forks against each other and I'm pulling and shredding the pork butt. It all comes apart in shredded meat, keeping all the fat and everything, all the flavor there. Okay, so once you get it shredded, then you can put it on your barbecue sandwich. I also have made 2 of these. One we'll eat tonight, the other one I'll chill a little bit, and then I'll refrigerate it and put it in a vacuum pack and freeze it. I can take that vacuum bag and put it in boiling water and reheat the pork right in the vacuum bag. So there we are, smoked pork butts using the Smokin Tex smoker. If you want to check out Smokin Tex, it's at SMOKINTEX.com. SmokinTex.com. And all these recipes are on their website. Thank you.